Hello, I'm Darren Magee and welcome to my mental health information and awareness channel. Now today's video is about procrastinating. It's about how to overcome procrastination. It's a video that's been on my to-do list for a while now. Okay, now let's be honest, there are times when we just cannot be bothered. Sometimes we'd rather just watch TV or something. But I'm talking about whenever we consistently put off things that would perhaps be in our best interest to do, things that we need to do. Other times, we may have so much going on, we may be so busy, we genuinely do need a break. So I'm talking about the times when we are consistently putting things off. So how do we know the difference? Well, first of all, I think there's a difference between procrastinating and avoiding. Okay, so let's look at that difference. When we avoid something, it's generally because it's going to be something really unpleasant, something painful, not necessarily in our best interest. Whenever we procrastinate, that's different. We know we may benefit from it. We know it may be in our best interest. So what we're not saying to ourselves is, no, I don't want that. No, just get me out of this. What we're saying is, I do need that. I do have to do that. Just not right now. So what we're doing is we're delaying our gratification. Not right now, maybe later. We want the short-term gratification of avoiding the hassle. And we can become so accustomed, it can become quite habitual. We become accustomed to doing everything at the last minute, that last burst of energy that it gives us to complete something. If we get into this stage where it's like, if it wasn't for the last minute, I'd get nothing done. So where the line tends to blur between avoidance and procrastination is, what we're actually doing is we're avoiding the perceived strain, the stress, the hassle of whatever it is we're supposed to do. For example, prepare for an exam, make a repair to something. It's a very easy habit to fall into, and the more we put things off, the more strain that we feel, especially when something else comes along. So we end up putting that off too, and then feel even more strain at the thought of that. And on it goes until we have so many things to do, we feel so much pressure, but we're doing absolutely nothing. And we can even be very creative, finding things to do instead. Not just watching Netflix or something, playing video games. I remember as a teenager being asked to do something, and even though I was promised a few quid for doing it, I just kept putting it off. And all day this went on, all day, until eventually my dad says to me, he caught me lying on the sofa and he says, "Oh, let me guess, you were about to do it, but the shipping forecast came on." We will find reasons not to do what we're supposed to do. And if we were truly honest with ourselves, sometimes we actually put more effort into not doing something than we would into actually doing it. So, in order to stop procrastinating, I think it begins with recognizing, first of all, we are just procrastinating, and recognizing the blocks that stop you doing what's in your best interest, the things you have to do. Are these blocks, say, for example, are you worried about the fear of what others are going to think of you, or whatever? You fear failing or something? Do you fear that new expectation that might come about if you were to actually succeed? Do you perhaps fear envy, scorn from others? Or maybe there's other times when you might fear that maybe you're not enough. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to complete it. So you fear, again, looking like a failure. So when it comes to procrastinating, it's something that we actually want, but we want it without the strain. We want it without the effort. We want it without the consequences. Now, this is the thing. Now, having any kind of expectation on us, any kind of task, whatever, that can bring about a level of anxiety, which can affect our self-confidence. As I often say, where there's a level of emotional distress of some kind, there's a defense mechanism. Sometimes the very thing we do to avoid something unpleasant is often the very thing that makes it worse. And the worse we feel, the more that tends to lead us to procrastinate even more. So when we procrastinate, again, I often think it says more about us than maybe the task. Perhaps we don't trust ourselves. Perhaps we don't believe in ourselves. So, how do you overcome procrastination? Well, to overcome it, first of all, it takes self-discipline. And sometimes that's just a little piece at a time, because it might be a huge task we have to do. And we look at the size of the task and perhaps we just feel overwhelmed. But you don't always have to do it all at once, even just a little piece at a time. Setting smaller goals, a little smaller goal that gets you a step closer, a piece at a time. Even just setting regular breaks and sticking to them. Try focusing on the preferred outcome, the thing that you actually want, rather than the perceived obstacles and strain. So, here's a little exercise, something that might help you be more productive and to stop your procrastinating, okay? So, if there's something you have to do, regardless of whatever it is, and you keep on putting it off. So, what you do is you get yourself a page, you draw a line down the middle of that page. On the left-hand side of that page, you write down all the obstacles, all the barriers, all of the difficulties, all the reasons why you can't even be bothered. And then you see when you've done that, here's what you do. Are you ready? Just go ahead and do it. That's it. There's no magic bullet. There's no Jedi mind trick. You just go ahead and do it. You see when you've finished, you take that same piece of paper and you write down on the right-hand side of that page, what were the real problems? What were the real obstacles? What were the real difficulties? Now, I'm probably going to spoil the ending for you, but the truth is sometimes the most you can put down is effort. And that's generally what we're avoiding. So like I said, sometimes it comes down to just self-discipline. Now, another thing to think about is perhaps whatever task you have to do, ask yourself this. What can you do today? What can you do right now? What small part of this can you even begin that you might thank yourself for tomorrow, a week from today, a month, even a year from today? Build on the progress. Recognize that procrastination has become a bad habit. And as I often say, sometimes the best way to break a bad habit is to start a new one. Even ask yourself, how would you encourage someone else to do what they need to do? Maybe try listening to your own advice. And above all, be consistent and pay attention. Because sometimes when it comes to procrastinating, what we're really doing, what we're normally doing, is actually lying to ourselves. So there are my thoughts on procrastination and how to overcome it. I hope you find that helpful. If you have any thoughts or comments, please use the comment box below. I like to read your comments and even respond to them when I can. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel for future updates on mental health related topics. By all means, please feel free to suggest future topics you'd like me to cover. Thanks for watching.